Okay, this is for those who want to see some problems that you didn't get done in your homework, or people that don't know how to do the sum and difference of two cubes. So let's start with lesson 26, number 24. We have a difference of two cubes over just x minus y. Now this is a simple one because there's no coefficients in front of the x cubed or the y cubed. So basically, you take this formula over here that you have to have memorized. It's saying if you have u cubed minus v cubed, so it's kind of this thing, x cubed minus y cubed, then you take the cube root of it. So you say what times what gives me u cubed, that would be u. What times what would give me v cubed, and that would be v. Then you take the cube root of these two terms and you take u minus v, so whatever the cube root is, you subtract them, because this is subtraction. Then you square the first one, then you multiply them together, and then you square the second one. If this would have been plus right here, then the first one would have been plus, and the second one would have been minus. So the first problem that we're going to do is we're just going to take this, our u in this case is just what times what itself 3 times would give you x cubed, would just be x. And our v would be what times what itself would give you y cubed, would just be y. And so every place you see a u in this formula over here, in this formula, every place you see a u, you put the x. Every place you see a v, you put the y. So here we go. It would be x minus y, because it's u minus v, and then it's the first one squared, plus these two multiplied together, and then plus the last one squared. And this is all over x minus y, and you can see these are going to cross out, and this is your final answer. I didn't think that one was really helpful because there's no numbers and it's just exactly like the formula. So I'm giving you this one right here. So we're going to factor this one. And before we begin, we need to figure out what our u is and what our v is. So we're going to say what times itself 3 times is going to give me 8. What times what gives me 8? And that's going to be 2. What times what gives me a cubed, that's a, and the same b times b gives us b cubed. So we're just really taking the cube root of each term, and that's how we get u. Let me just take that off now. Okay, the same thing, we go to this 27. What number times itself 3 times will give us 27, and that would be 3. What times what gives me v to the 6? Well, that would be b squared. C squared. And then what times what will give me d to the 6th? So d squared times d squared times d squared would be d to the 6th. So now, once you identify your u and your v, you're just going to put it into your formula up here. So you get u, and that would be 2ab, minus v, here's our v, and that would be 3c squared d squared. Then if you look at our formula, it's u squared. So you go to your u, and you square it. So you get 4a squared b, and then we plus, according to the formula right here. And then you multiply your u and your v together. So here's our u, here's our v, we multiply together, we get 6a b c squared d squared. And then finally we square, according to this one, you take v and you square it, you square your final term, and so you get 9c to the 4th d to the 4th. And that's all it is. I ran out of room here. But we have parentheses down there. It's really identifying your u and v. This times itself 3 times gives you this. This times itself 3 times gives you that. So that's your u and your v. And then all you do is you plug it into this formula that you have to have memorized, or else you can't do these problems. And that's about it. So if you still have questions on that, please let me know, and I'll send you a different problem. Let me know before this week is, before we have class, so that I can get you some more problems. Okay, the second problem that was asked was lesson 29, number 20. This one covers several different things, so let's look at this one. Okay, this one has two functions. The first one is r theta is equal to sine of theta over cosine of theta, and our second function is f of theta equals cosine theta plus sine of theta minus 300. What we're supposed to find is 3 square root of 2 times, what this means is we're going to go to the r function, and everywhere we see, in parentheses, we see the theta, for everywhere we see the theta, we're going to put in 180. And then we add to it, we go to the s function. Instead of a theta, we replace all the thetas with 30s. So let's just give this a try. We'll draw our triangles. You're not supposed to use a calculator either. So we get the square root of 3 over 2, and this means our function evaluated with 180 in it. So it's going to be times sine of 180 over cosine of 180. So r, if we put r of 180 here, r of 180, that means we're replacing the thetas with 180, and we get this down here. Okay, we got that one started, and then plus, now we go to the s function, and we're going to replace the thetas in the x function with 30. So we're going to get cosine of 30 plus sine of, this would be, we're replacing this with a 30, so it would be minus 270. Now we're back to our special triangles. This one is unique because we have the sine of 180, which is, if we draw it and we put 180 on here, we put a point, just think of the unit circle, if we put a point right here, that's 180. This is 180 degrees. Or you could call that pi. Pi equals 180. If we label this point, it would be -1, 0. Now I've been trying to help you to see that the x coordinate goes with sine, and the y coordinate always goes with, whoops, I did it backwards. It's in alphabetical order, so it shouldn't be so complicated. The x coordinate goes with cosine, and the y coordinate goes with sine. Just like x comes before y, cosine comes before sine. So when we look at this problem, we have to multiply whatever we get by 3 square root of 2. The sine of 180 is just the y coordinate at 180. So it's 0 over cosine of 180 would be -1. And that just turned out to be 0, of course. Okay, let's do the next one. Next one's a cosine of 30. So for this one, I'm going to have to squeeze in some space here. Let's draw our triangle. I left the page. This is 30, 60, and of course 90. We have the smallest side is opposite the smallest angle. Square root of 3, 2. So we know the cosine of 30 is adjacent over hypotenuse. And you should really start memorizing these. There we go. That's that one. We did that. Now, this function up here had 2 places that you had to put 30 in. So there's 2 places we need to evaluate. Plus sine of 270. Negative 270. Whew. Can't draw straight lines on here at all. Okay. So negative 270, we're not going to go this way. If it's negative, we're going to go around this way. And just think of your unit circle. We'll put a point on there, and the point is 0, 1. It's the sine of negative 270, so x is cosine, y is sine, so it's going to be 1. So it's just going to be 1. And when we add these together, 0 times this wipes that out, and so your final answer is just square root of 3 over 2 plus 1. So if you have questions on problems like that one, please email me specific problems of any kind and I'll make a video for you, anyone in the class. Alright, that takes care of these two problems, and we'll keep answering them for you.